Hello everyone, Darkfather here. This time with a new Wolcen build. This is the Toxic Anvil-Bladestorm build. If you like it, please consider following and like it for more Wolcen content. Please comment if you have questions or suggestions on how to improve the build. Also joining me on Twitch and on the other social platforms, link below will be great. As usually, this is recorded in one go, so please be kind with the inherent mistakes. Also, as I may miss something or discover something new, do have a look at the description for additional details or changes. I will add more links to additional gameplay videos. All the characters can be downloaded from my Discord, so you can play them as you see them here. For online, I do have some duplicated gear, so feel free to poke me to trade. Let's have a small build overview. This is a spin to win full melee build, where you can use your Toxic Blade to kill every mob. It's a nice melee build, great AoE, but lacks a bit on the single target. Let's look on the damage modifiers, and you can see them already on my screen. What you want to do is to look for crit and crit percentage, aim for around 50% at least, or maybe 60%. You aim for at least 60% base attacks, and then look for flat weapon damage, flat damage to attacks, and skill damage multipliers like attack ones, material or toxic. And then for damage in general, percentage damage, attack damage, melee damage, one or two-handed damage depending on what you use in that moment. And of course, material and toxic percentage damages. So kind of this is in a nutshell everything you want to look for. Let's go then and have a very short look on the attributes. As I said before, you should aim to have at least 50%, if not even 60% critical chance, because in the maps, this will be halved, right? So when you go into a very high level map, you'll have only 25%. So make sure you have at least 50, if not 60%. When you do level, feel free to make this one as big as you can, because you will not need too much toughness, right, when you level. But in the end game, you want to sacrifice a little bit of ferocity for toughness. You can go to 70% here if you can. Do that. Attack speed. Here you want to have around 50%. Don't mind my small ones because now I'm testing and using this. So in general, what I like to have is around 60% attack speed. So feel free to do the same if you have other rings than the Arbiter. And also put the rest in toughness, right? For endgame, you want to have as much as health as you can. And kind of this covers everything, right? Let's move on. What's the next piece? We are looking to the skills next. So let's see our skills. I will start with the first one because this is our bread and butter. What we are going to use, we are going to use Bladestorm. It's going to be converted to Toxic. And this is my setup. I'm not going to explain every choice here I make. I generally take everything which is damage related. Let me see if it's something which I really wanted to explain why I'm using. I don't think so. I think this is debatable probably. You can take something else if you like. The second one which I'm using is the Anvil Woe. This one it's for single target, and this is my preferred setup, as you can see it here. I'm trying to add a little bit more crit chance. I think there is one here, one node with crit damage as well. So feel free to play around. This is my setup, and you can see I'm doing that damage. I'm doing the 354 damage as a normal damage, right? So nothing like that. Now, a few other useful skills are Wings of Wishmere, and this is my setup. I like to get the Rage Generation one. I want to be able to run it without using a cooldown, right, with stamina. I like the damage buff for enemy hits. I like to stun them, and I want damage buff when I'm landing. So mostly for buffing, right? I'm not doing it for damaging. The next one is the Juggernaut. That's a wonderful skill overall. You just get less damage out of it. I will not explain again everything I take here. I take it as well as Toxic, but the reality is that it's just a defensive one for me. Blood for Blood, it's one of the most loved skills for me, and this is the way I like to use it. Again, I don't think I have something specific I want to tell you. You can play around as well and choose the way you want it. And probably my favorite one is Sovereign Shout. Make sure that if you follow this build, you take the 15% added block chance, because this is going to help us to get to that 100%. And the rest, I think, are up to you. You want the buff 3 seconds for sure. And I think this one, it's very, very nice as well. 25% critical chance to your score, not to his hit, right? It's not a hitting one. It's actually buffing all your skills. So I really like this one, to be honest. So those are the skills. One things to remember, and making sure that I don't forget this one, because I usually do, is, I think we have it here, the mark impurity. If you have the trial belt, this is how I set up my mark of impurity for trial belt, right? And that's it. So that's all here. Let's see next. What shall we talk about? Let's talk about Gate of Fate. This is my Gate of Fate. I will put it as usually with the full link in description. However, let's look a little bit what I have here. We do have Sentinel here, and then we go to Warmonger, and then we have EOS. So if you want to arrange it as I have it and move it here, just make sure you have it like that. Let's go to the main things which we have. I will go in no particular order. We'll talk a little bit about in leveling, about how do you want to do it first. So we do have the 2% plus 2%, 4% occult damage to enemies per curse stacking affecting them. And this is amazing with the trial belt because it's a 4% for each stack. Also, we are taking plus 10 stacks from here. So we have 20 stacks multiplied by 4, 80% damage. And unfortunately, I don't think it's multiplicative, but still, it's quite some setup. The second one, which we like, is the Beacon for the Lost. You get 20%, 25% plus 10, 35% more damage as sacred damage, which is adding on top of everything you have. So another very cool point. Another one to think about is the 3% damage for enemies in 4-meter radius. You can take as well the plus T1. I think it's very, very good. Even the 0.5% is pretty decent. So at the beginning, you may consider taking those. I don't have space now, but they are good notes to take. A mandatory one for all the material damage builds is the Gods Among Men. So 20% material damage multiplier. It's a must for everything to take it. A very important one is this one here, 35 rage generation on kill. You have to have this one for all the builds which are actually using rage. You have to. This is amazing. The next one is Undertaker, a node which I didn't take until now, and I'm still debating if it's worth or not. Feels it does. So you want to take this one, but only if you take this one with additional radius. Otherwise, it might not be that great. 20% damage to enemies slow, stunned, or frozen, or in stasis. You want that because you stun them anyway. So this is a free 20% damage with the cost of nothing, 2 points here. Disallowing Vessel. Even if you move using the Bladestorm, you actually don't move yourself. It's the skill who's moving you. So you are actually stationary. So you have this one most of the time. So you get a 30% damage. Very, very cool. Maximum willpower and rage. You see I have only this node because I don't have enough points. But when you level, feel free to take those two as well, because they are very, very good. Let's see here. Static Transferal. This is an interesting one because applies only to... You have to use basic attacks to make it happen. However, it's amazing if you want to buff yourself before the hit of the anvil. So I will try to show you how to. By the way, I'm not a real good gamer, so you may see me failing trying to do so, but I hope at least you get the point and you will do it much better than I do. So this is very good for anvil. This is the 20% spill multiplier during the critical hit. That's why we want to have a huge crit, so you can actually make this happen, right? A lot of speed multiplier. Then we do have something which is a must again for most rage builds, because you have double damage when your rage is about 750. And you should be able to keep it if you are doing pretty well here. Then we do have the Child of Fury, which is giving you more attack speed, right? So amazing for us as well. And then I'm using for my block this one plus those two fields here, King Ages, and I'm taking 5% block chance here. Then we are moving to Dire Juncture, which is amazing one. If you have a 100% block, this is great because actually you block twice the same damage. So it's very, very good. And in the end, we are taking the critical damage multiplier. More things to consider, yes. I had to give up my critical chance score, but if you have space, you take it, right? You take it. It's a very good one, low investment here. You can even consider taking more melee weapon damage from here. I think there are a few, and play around, right? It's not like you have to use exactly my build, especially when you level up. Let's see more. Gear and options. I will go to my gear. So we do have, this is going to work with 0 uniques, right? But this is the way I actually decided to use it as an end game. So for amulet, you want, as we said before, so let me show you this. As I said before, you need to figure out for yourself what gear is going to be good. Everything which is related to attack damage, speed, and crit, it's good. So feel free to add that. So is this good for me? It's pretty good. I have some random toxic damage to attacks, which is material. I have some material damage. I have transfer time between willpower and rage, which is great, and willpower regeneration as my gem. So I'm really happy about this one. Now, I do have 2 Envoyed Wars, again, amazing, because they have attack speed damage multiplier and a lot of rage and health there, right, which is coming out of it. So very, very cool, 2 of them. As head fits, I'm using the imbued Galnazek, which is again an attack skill damage multiplier, and also has some rage conservation, and also gives me the shot every 10 seconds, so shout. So it's pretty cool. I do have the hands, the Argant's Heart's hands, with the physical damage and material damage multiplier again, so very, very good for our build. We do have an amplified chest, which is giving me more damage for my block chance from the shield, which, by the way, I found a very interesting shield with 54% block chance, which is very, very good exactly because of that reason. One trick here. You want a shield with as much block chance as you have, but in general what you want the shield which has the combined block chance and block efficiently in total as much as you can. If you have something above 80 or 90 like I have here, it's very, very good. It doesn't necessarily mean it's better to have more block chance or efficiency. I prefer more block chance because it has a good synergy with this one, but if you have more block efficiency and a little bit less block chance, make sure in total they have 80-85 and you'll be good. We have the trial bird here. If not, again, look on my screen and choose something which is buffing your damage. We do have those rings, Seal of Arbiter, of 40% melee weapon damage, which are very, very good, and crit damage, which is again very nice. As usually, we use Abolition Act. Why not? Because this is the best weapon in the game, and toxic damage added. We added some material damage, pants, and a bit of luck, 2% additional block efficiency here. Skill reduction is good as well. Block chance, as you can see, and here block efficiency. And in the boots, it's Odelia's March. Again, anything which is here, you can replace, if you look on my screen, with any gear which is giving you similar stats, right? So you don't necessarily need to have that until endgame. Other options which I consider worthy. Those rings are actually pretty interesting as well. You get a lot of attack speed and multiple damage. So let's look a little bit to this. This is 72 like that. 76 like that. So the Sunny Stash, you are not losing too much damage, but you are getting a lot of speed, right? So I'm not very sure which one worth, to be honest. I'm still thinking between those two. Another option which is interesting is this one, because you get +2 stamina points, agility and movement speed, which is pretty cool. Stamina points are being used, right, for our wings, so why not to have more mobility? But of course you drop a little bit of damage, so I would consider those only if I want to farm something easy. Another version, if you remember my my John Toxic build, is this one. Transform this build into into a build which is a buff build. If you remember that, if you don't, go back to my video, because you can do that very easy as well with this build, but you are going to transform it totally, right? And another option, if you don't have those, is to go on Expurgation, where you get more critical chance score, more critical damage on poison and bleeding enemies. And of course, you need to make sure you do poison and bleed them, right? So you will poison them for sure, because you are going to do toxic, but you need some bleed, right? So that rend damage which is here, you need to make sure you have it somewhere. If not, put some rend damage on your Abolition Act instead of one toxic. So to make sure you do that both. This is if you want to use those. I don't know, to be honest, what's better. These ones, which I'm using in my one of my previous builds, or the ones which I'm using now. Interesting to test, I haven't done yet. But those are options as well, right? And again, you don't have those, don't worry. Look on my screen and make sure you add those to your build. Right. So let's move on. Gameplay. Or no, leveling first. Let's talk about leveling. I think leveling is pretty easy. You do start as a warrior, you buy all those skills here, and then you want to make sure that on the Gate of Fates, you pick up important pieces at the beginning. You want to get damage multiplier, right? You really want to get that one. You want to get 35 rage generation on kill. You have to take that ASAP. You may want to get the 20% critical chance score, which I don't have it, but you may want to get it at the beginning. Then you may consider going directly for the US, or you may consider going for the Child of Fury and the double damage, because those are very important. Now, at the beginning, it might be hard for you to reach to the left side and to the right side. So don't be afraid to actually say, look, I'm going to reach to Darkfather's build later, but you know what? I'm going to take those nodes, I'm going to take the material damage, I'm going to take the generation on kill, but I'm going to rotate this one until this position so I can take the rage one, right? And including, you can take the Child of Fury. And you can see in this place, you will do a lot of stuff. And later on in the game, when you decide to, when you have more points, you can turn them and finalize the build and show it like that. So, and also you can take the critical damage multiplier here very, very soon, I guess. Important one, I think, is this one as well, 20%. Make sure you do not take the Undertaker unless you have the radius. Make sure you don't do that. Also, I think this you can take it much later. And as well, what you can leave for much later is this piece of the node, right? Because this part is related to defense. And at the beginning of the game, you don't need that much defense. So feel free to leave this one later. And again, another one, make sure you don't take this one unless you have the trial belt, because there is no point of taking those. Okay, so this was a bit about leveling. Let's do some gameplay. Before gameplay, let me explain you a few things to make sure we are on the same page. So, first of all, our main skill is the Bladestorm, 76, right? If we are getting buffed by everything, you reach easy in 110, right? So 110, 120, it's something you should be able to keep it for the time of when you play. Now, the same happens with your Anvil, which is 365 as a base, but you can go to 500,000 only as a base. So what you want to do in a game is you use all your buffs, right? And then you are playing here. You reload your rage to be over 770 if you didn't manage to do it. But usually you will, because you'll kill everyone and you will get rage per kill if you remember, right? So that's not a problem. And when you reach to a boss or a tougher enemy, you should use your static transferal. And I cannot show you here. Practically what you want to hit something 6 times with your left click, right? So imagine I'm clicking now. This is going to load itself 6 times, and then you are going to charge and shot with your Anvil. Make sure before you do that, you you use Wings of Wishmere and you stun the boss, because otherwise he might kill you in this one. And also make sure you are already buffed, at least to have the Sovereign Shout. Why I'm talking about the Sovereign Shout is because, as you notice from the last few builds, we are 100% block chance. And you are going to say, no, you are 85. And I'm going to say, no, if you use the Shout, you are going to be 100. And by the time this finish, and this one finishes, you can use it one more time and you keep it 100 non-stop if you are paying attention to your cooldowns. I'm not, because I'm a bad player, but you should be able to, I hope, right? So you will keep yourself in 180 non-stop. So it's going to be hard for bosses to one-shot you, especially if you put enough HP here. Now, an option, and I didn't talk about this one, you can decide to take as well Branded Burst. And this is a huge defense with a very small investment, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points here. You can give up something here and take more defense if you want. And in this way, you can be very, very tanky and do skulls as well with this build. So let's do some gameplay. As usually, I'm going to do something very fast for this video. And then I'm going to try to do some more gameplay and link it later to the video, right? So let's do something very fast. I was saying one of the worst things we can do is a boss. So let me take an Echo. Okay, I will take an Echo. And I will show you how to fight bosses. Again, I'm a very bad player myself in general, so I'm not going to be amazingly good in doing that. So I'm going to buff myself. I'm going to use this one, and now I'm going to hit her for half of her HP. Now, I don't think I did it right, so I'm going to do this again, and I hope I'm not dying in the process of not healing myself. But we did it. So, the gameplay for bosses, it's a little bit annoying in my opinion, because you have to, you don't have to, right? But you kind of want to charge the anvil, right? You charge it with those left clicks, right, the basic attacks, and then you charge the anvil and you hit, and you can hit crit for, and now we didn't crit at all, by the way, but you can crit for millions and millions here, right? Because the base damage of this is 350. As I said, after you manage to do that, you are going to be at 550k, and then if you use the crit and the 6 times more damage, 120% damage or whatever, you are going to hit for a lot, trust me. So bosses can be quite easy to run if you do it right. And again, I'm not the guy who's going to do it right, so don't look at my gameplay. But still my ideas. So let's do one more. Let's do an Onslaught. Standard one. Let's see how it feels. I did some before, so it felt pretty good. So I'm pretty confident this build will be very nice. But as I told you, this is something which we are doing in one go. So because we are doing it in one go, it might not be as nice as a video which is not working. I think I pressed Anvil before by mistake and it was on cooldown, right? So I don't need to use Anvil for those mini guys, as you can see. So the build is pretty potent without that. I'm going to use it now, so he died in one, right? And make sure you use the wings from time to time, so you can stun those friends and get that extra damage, right? Let's see if I can do here what I was planning to do before. I hope I'm not going to die by doing that. I was very close to die, so I think I dropped my anvil before I needed to, right? I think I missed this guy, right? And again, as I said, my gameplay is not the greatest one, so you guys, I'm sure, can do it better than I do. And one shot. Ah, we finished pretty good, I think, right? I hope I will not die now by... And I didn't use any of my my rage potions, as you can see. So the build is actually very sustainable without rage potions. You can give up one or even both and get some HP if you want, right? So why not? Okay. I think it was a pretty decent run. I believe this build can do pretty decent some skulls. I'm not very sure if you can do 1000. I'm pretty much sure you can do 1000 on a one head count. I'm absolutely sure. But I don't know if how fast you can do Saricel or whatever. So, but we will test. We will test and see. Okay. Thank you all. I hope you enjoyed. Again, please consider following me on Twitch and YouTube and leave your comments. Check the description for additional details. And bye-bye for now. Have fun.